Hello students, I'm Sonali Kelkar from City International School and today we are going to do the next chapter in biology, that is control and coordination. So let's start with the chapter control and coordination. Right, now let's start with the introduction of control and coordination. Have you ever seen when you're walking on the street, people are doing cycling, there are children who are playing in the garden. There are children who are doing swimming. There are people who are riding their bicycles. There are people who are driving cars. Now, what do you see in these people? They are doing some or other kind of movement, or we can say that they are doing some kind of activities, right? And all the activities that they are doing, that is in response to the change in the environment, isn't it? Let's say that if you are walking through the street and suddenly there is a cat running towards you, what you will do? You might you might run away from there, or you might try to protect yourself from that cat. Okay, so these are the certain things that you do in response to the certain changes in the environment, right? Suppose you are passing in front of the restaurant and you can smell something is cooked very nicely, very tasty, and you're also hungry. So what do you try to do? Okay, some response are not in your control. Okay, suppose you want to eat food in the restaurant, you will go, but before that, what will happen? Your mouth will get full with saliva. So this response is not in your control. So there are certain things which are not in your control, and there are certain responses which are absolutely in your control. And suppose, let's take another example where you have stepped on a very sharp thing, right? And immediately you remove your leg, you remove your feet from that sharp needle, right? So this is what a immediate response you showed. Clear, students? So there are certain responses, okay, which are planned one. There are certain responses which are immediate one. There are certain responses in which you can do anything, right? They are not under your will, not under your control. So let's see these responses, right? Now these responses are because of the changes in the environment. So these changes in the environment, okay, according to which organism reacts, these sudden changes or the changes in the environment is known as stimuli, right? And if you see, your different activities are coordinate with the response, right? Suppose you see a car is coming towards you and it is moving with a very fast speed. Immediately you will run away from that place, or you will jump out or jump away from that place, right? So that was a immediate action taken by you, isn't it, student? So here you didn't think about doing something, it was immediate reaction, right? And when you smell something tasty, right, your mouth get filled with saliva, right? This is reaction which is not under your control. So all these reaction are controlled and coordinated by a system called a nervous system, right? And there is one more system which is also helping in control and coordination, that is hormonal system. About both the system we are going to know further. So control and coordination in animals is done by the nervous system and endocrine system, right? Now, what do you mean by coordination? Okay, suppose you want to run away from a place, or let's say suppose you are doing swimming, right? When you are doing swimming, don't you think that some action you are doing regularly and that action is well coordinated, and because of that action of your hands and feet which are well coordinated, you can able to perform the work, you can able to swim. Or let's take another example. Suppose teachers tell you to write, okay, an essay. What are you going to do then? You are going to hold a pen and you are going to start writing, right? But do you think a 1 year child can hold the pen and start writing? No, because his actions were not coordinated. Your actions are coordinated. Means that all the muscles are working properly. Okay, they all the organs are working properly, isn't it? Your eyes are well coordinated, your hands are well coordinated, you think what you are writing, okay, and how your writing should look like, isn't it? So working of various organs of a body in an organism in a proper manner to produce appropriate reaction to a stimulus is called coordination, right? Now, what are the receptors, right? Have you heard about the five sense organs in our body? So let's see the five sense organs: your eyes, your ears, tongue, your skin, right? These all are the five sense organs in your body: eyes, ear, tongue, skin, and nose, right? Yes. Okay, so these are the five organs, and these organs, these, why do we call them sense organs? Because they sense, okay, they sense the changes taking place in the environment, okay, and these changes are captured by the nerve endings in the different sense organs, right? So these are called receptors. Now let's see, why do we need the nervous system? Okay, why do you want that you should have nervous system? This is to keep us informed about the outside world, right? Through the sense organ. If you see that outside it's very sunny, right? So you would definitely try to take bottle with you, umbrella with you, or cap, or something which will protect you from sun, isn't it? Okay. So this is a just example. Now it also enable us to remember, to think out. Okay, have learned you have learned about addition subtraction in your junior classes, right? You just have to recall the things when you're doing some complicated mathematical problem, isn't it? Right? So to think, to remember, to memorize, to reason out, or let's say suppose you have to make a planning for your picnic. So all the planning work is done by you. It is done in a brain, isn't it? So brain is also a part of nervous system. Fine. Anyways, that we are going to learn it further, right? So these are the different things the nervous system is required for. Then control and harmonizes all voluntary muscular activity. Running is a controlled and harmonized voluntary muscles activity. Now, what do you mean by the word voluntary? Voluntary means these are the actions which are under your control. Okay, these actions are taken by you which are absolutely in your control. You know how you have to drive the car, right? You can control whether you have to jump, or you have to run, you have to swim, you have to do cycling, whatever. You have to control the activities by yourself. So that is what a voluntary muscular activity, and that is controlled by definitely our nervous system. Then regulates involuntary activity. Okay, now what about the involuntary activity? Do you think before you breathe? You can say that, madam, I can hold my breath, but then till what time? Okay, you cannot hold your breath, I think not more than 2 minutes. Okay, so that is not a voluntary activity, that is an involuntary activity, because even when if you are not thinking about breathing, you breathe. You don't have to think that you have to breathe, right? Beating of heart beats, right? Beating of heart, it is not under your control, right? Peristaltic movement in esophagus, that is not under your control, right? So these are the certain activities which are involuntary activities, but still they are not under your own control. It is not under your wish, but they are controlled by our brain, isn't it? Right. Now let's see the different type of receptors, right? So we have done about receptors. These are the specialized tip of the nerve fibers that collect the information to be conducted by the nerves. So there are nerve endings in your receptors. Receptors nothing but sense organ, the five sense organ that I have already told you, right? They collect the information and then send it to the brain, right? Now let's see the different type of receptor. Phonoreceptor, these are present in inner ear. We have done the inner ear diagram last year in physics, right? So there are certain phonoreceptor in cochlea, right? And even in the inner ear. Okay, that is these receptors are they are uh, for balance of the body and for hearing. Okay, the main function is hearing and balance of the body. Inner ear means the three semicircular canals, right? Three semicircular canals and cochlea, right? So these are responsible for the hearing and balance of body. Now coming to photoreceptor, which part of your body receives light? Okay, that is nothing but eyes. Yeah, yeah. So photoreceptors are present in eyes, and in which part of the eye? Where the image is formed. Now where the image is formed, it is formed on retina. Yes. So over there you will find nerve endings and photoreceptors. They are called photoreceptors. Okay, they are responsible for visual stimulus. Thermoreceptors, as the word suggests, they are present in skin. Your skin, okay, can feel the touch, the pain, the heat, right? So all these stimulus are received by the thermoreceptors on your skin. Olfactory receptor, these are present in nose. These receptor receives smell, bad smell or good smell, right? So that is received by olfactory receptors. Gustatory receptors, they are present on the tongue, okay? A function, they help in taste detection, right? Whether the food is sour or it is sweet or bitter or salty, whatever, that is received by the gustatory receptors. Now coming to the nervous system, right? You must have heard that our nervous system is composed of brain, it is composed of spinal cord, it is composed of sense receptors, just now we did, and a whole lot of nerves which are coming out from the brain and which are coming out from the spinal cord, and the brain set of the nerves which are going towards the spinal cord, even it going towards the brain, right? There are nerves coming out from the spinal cord and brain. There are nerves which are going towards the spinal cord and brain, right? So all sets of nerves, your brain, spinal cord, sense receptors, they are ultimately made up of a nerve cell, right? Okay, so whatever is the function of the nerve cell, let's say the function of the nerve cell is to receive stimuli in form of impulses, right? So that is what is doing by all these organs, right? So we can say that nerve cell is a structural and functional unit of nervous system. It is a nerve cell is a structural and functional unit of nervous system. And what this nerve cell is called? This nerve cell is called neuron. Okay. So nerve cell or neuron is the functional unit of the nervous system. It is the nervous system which is mainly responsible for the control and coordination in complex animals, right? Let's see the function of the nervous system. The nervous system receives information from the environment that we have already done. Then to receive the information from the various body organs, right? They also receive information from various body organs such as, let's see, let's say we have different receptors in eyes, right? So it receives information from eyes, right? It receives information from skin, it receives information from nose, it receives information even from the muscles of your legs, right? Even from the internal organs and glands, right? It acts according through muscles and glands also, right? Suppose you have to run from a certain place, or suppose you want to kick a ball harder, okay, so that you can throw the ball away, okay. So all that information is controlled by the nervous system, right? And ultimately your brain is going to control the muscles, so how hard you have to hit ball, or you have to hit the ball softly, right? It depends where you have to hit the ball, okay. So if you are playing cricket, or you're playing football, or you're playing tennis, or you're playing badminton, all these activities are controlled by your muscles, right? There are n number of activities that we do every day. And what about the glands, right? So even the glands, as soon as you start eating, we have done digestive system, right? As soon as you start eating, you put a spoonful of rice in your mouth. What happens? Okay, your salivary glands start secreting saliva, right, which mixes with food. So this is a signal given to gland that now you have to react, right? There are certain glands which are present on the upper part of kidney. They are adrenaline glands, right? They are responsible when a person has to fight or flight in case of any kind of emergency situation. So we are going to learn more about it later. So let's take the structure of neuron. Okay, you have done this structure in your previous class, but let's do it in a detailed manner. Right now, dendrite, can you see the dendrites? These are the hair-like structure. It acquires information. These are the hair-like structure which are present, let's say it is on the, they are present on the skin surface, right? I'm just taking an example. These hair-like structure, right, they are present on a skin, and they are taking the information. If there is a change in temperature, if there is a change in pressure, right, it is causing you any kind of pain, so it will take information from your skin, right? And then this information, definitely it will go down through the axon. Now before that, there is a body over here, we call it cell body, right? This is a cell body or cyton, okay. It is also known as soma, right? It is a star shape, right? It has many hair-like structure which are protruding out. These are the dendrite we have already done. Okay, in the middle of the cyton there is a nucleus, right? And there are certain granules also, which is not there in your course, but still there are certain granules present in cyton. Okay, now this one part of the cyton is extended, okay. It is a tail of a neuron, we call it. It extended down, okay, and it ends with a nerve ending here. You can see several hair-like structure called axon terminals. These are axon terminals, right? And these terminals are quite swollen at the end. They have swollen ends, okay, just like bulbs. At the end they are swollen. I'll show you here. Over here they are a little bit swollen like bulbs. Right now, this axon is covered with myelin sheath. It is called myelin sheath, okay. The myelin sheath insulate the axon against nerve impulses from the surrounding, okay. If let's see here, okay, if there are nerves running through this cord, right, and there's so many nerves, right, and they all are passing information in a form of impulses, right. Okay, so if they are passing in form of an impulse, they should be insulated, otherwise all these impulses get mixed together, right? So then there will be a problem. That is why they are insulated, okay, so that every nerve takes a proper impulses, okay, from the receptors. Now this is synapse. Now what is synapse? Suppose this is a nerve ending of this particular nerve cell, and if there is one other nerve, let's see, let's draw, okay, another nerve cell right here, and there are the dendrites of other nerve cells, right? Fine. So there is a gap. Can you see the gap? This gap is nothing but a synapse between the nerve ending. Now this is between the nerve ending of one neuron and the dendrites of another neuron. Okay. Nerve ending of one neuron and the dendrite of another neuron. Here the signals, okay, electrical signals is converted into chemical signal. Okay, how does this electrical signals, the impulse is nothing but electrical signals, right? They are immediately converted to the chemical signal so that they can pass to the other nerve cell through the dendrites, right? So these chemical signals are acetylcholine, okay, acetylcholine. Now coming to the neurotransmission. Now neurotransmission is the traveling of impulse to the brain through the nerve cell. Now we have seen that impulses are generated when there is a stimuli, when there is a change in the external environment, right? Now these impulses, they are received by the dendrites. Okay, so in neurotransmission we are going to learn how this impulse travel all through the nerves and to the brain. Okay students, so what is impulse? Impulse is a signal transmitted from a nerve fibers, right? These are the signal transmitted through the nerve fibers. Clear? So any change in the environment will be detected by dendrites, right? So if there is any change, then definitely dendrite present in the sense organ, they are going to detect it, and these message, okay, acquired set off a chemical reaction which creates an electrical impulse. Okay, due to the change in the environment, there will be a chemical change in the nerve, and due to the chemical change in the nerve, a impulse, electrical impulse is generated, students. Okay, right? So that particular change is known as sodium pump, but you don't have in your syllabus. It's so it is fine that you just know that's a chemical change, a chemical reaction, okay, it sets off and which creates an electrical impulse. This electrical impulse, okay, will travel from the dendrite to the cell body, from dendrite to the cell body, from the cell body to the axon, right? It will travel to the axon, and then it will go to the nerves, to the axon terminals, right? Axon terminals, and you have see, can you see here the bulbs here? Okay, axon terminals are little swollen, okay, so they looks like bulb, fine, and over there there is a gap which is called synapse here, right? Over here these impulses will change into a chemical, okay, there will be okay, the chemicals are released due to these impulses. The chemical is released, this chemical is acetylcholine, okay, which is released at the nerve ending, then it crosses the synapse and start a similar electrical impulse in the other nerve cells. Again, the dendrites of the next nerve cell will collect this information, passes this in a form of a electrical signal, and hence it will go and reach to the brain. Okay, the brain will interpret the message, and then it will send the information to the respective muscles or glands, okay, or blood vessels or any organs, right, to react accordingly. Clear? So over they have here they have given a broad view of what is happening here, right? So you can see the neurotransmitters swelling over here, okay, and there is a synaptic cleft, there is a gap, right? So between the nerve ending of one neuron, or let's say this is a motor neuron, okay, the nerve ending of motor neuron, fine, and there is a chemical change taking place, okay. Neurotransmitters carries impulses across synapse and it's then broken down, okay. As soon as the transmitters transmit the information to the next next nerve cell, immediately it will get degenerate, okay, because it has to get ready for the other uh, nerve impulses, for the other impulses to come, okay, student, right? The similar synapse, now here the similar type of synapse, these are the synapse between the axon of the nerve and the dendrite, right? But this can similar synapse you can see even in the neurons to the other type of cells as muscles, okay. Neurons and muscles, the neuron, and there can be a muscles over here, right, instead of other dendrite muscles, or there can be a gland over here, right? So this synapse can be found even in muscles and in glands. Now let's see the reflex action. So before we learn about reflex action, let's see what are the different type of neurons which are involved in reflex action. Now what do you mean by reflex action? Reflex action, okay, it is an action which is automatically and rapid response to a stimulus. It is automatically, you don't have to think. If you think, then definitely you're going to harm yourself more, right? Then there are chances of losing the life also, right? If you think that if a car is coming with a great speed towards you and you keep thinking that should I move or should I stay here, then definitely a person might lose his life. So it is a immediate reaction, okay, a rapid response which does not require any thinking, okay. Now this reaction, there are three types of neurons, okay, responsible for the reflex action, right? The first neuron is sensory neuron. The words itself say that sensory neuron, what? It takes information, right, from the sense organ, right? It conveys the impulses, it takes information from the sense organ, okay, from the receptors of the sense organ, and that information, of course, it is going to carry through the nerves in a form of impulse, right? And it will carry, if it will carry to the spinal cord, right? In case of reflex action, it will carry to the spinal cord. In case of normal actions where you have to think and work, suppose you have to write an essay, right, or you have to drive a car, so there you are thinking, so that will, in that case, the impulses will go towards the brain, okay. But in case of reflex action, the impulse will go only to the spinal cord, right? Now motor neuron, right? So once the impulses is taken to the uh, to the spinal cord, right? Once the information is taken to the spinal cord, then spinal cord immediately will give instruction that uh, just run away, okay, immediately jump, okay. So it, what muscles are going to help you in jump? Your limb muscles are going to help you in jump, right? So it will definitely, it gives information to the muscles, right, which are motor muscles, right? Your hand muscles, all the limbs muscles. Limbs include your forelimbs, hind limb, that is your hands and legs, right? So children, limb muscles or your neck muscles, the muscles where you can control yourself, you have your control, okay, these muscles are called motor muscles, right? So these information will be given to the motor muscles through motor neuron. That is why the word comes motor neuron, right? Now comes association or relay or connecting neuron. So between the motor neuron and the sensory neuron, there is a small relay or connecting neuron, okay, which are definitely they are located in brain, they are located in spinal cord, and these neuron relay, it takes, okay, the information from sensory to neuron. So let's let me explain you with the help of this diagram. Okay, here a person is touching a hot plate, a hot vessel here, right? Now there are receptors, okay, which receptor, heat or pain receptors are there on in the skin. There are receptor which receive the signal because this is really hot, this vessel is really hot, and he has to immediately take out his hand because this can damage his skin if he doesn't take out his hand immediately, right? So this receptor will receive, okay, this receptor will receive the information, right, and that impulse will be taken to the through the sensory nerve. This impulse, this is sensory neuron, see, through the sensory neuron this will taken over here, and it will taken to the spinal cord, right? This has taken to the spinal cord. Here you can see the relay neuron, right? This relay neuron is a connection between your sensory neuron and motor neuron. Here is a motor neuron, okay. Why the word motor they have given? Because your hands has motor muscles, right, which are also known as effector or muscles in arms, right? So this information further given to the motor neuron, and due to a chemical change in the motor neuron, there will be a contraction of muscles, and due to this you will going to immediately take out your hand from that hot plate, right? So because this action has to be done in a fraction of seconds, that is why this information is not passes to the brain, okay, it is passes to the spinal cord. Okay, so let's see further. The reflex action is extremely quick and automatically sudden action in response to something in the environment, right? So what are the different examples of reflex action? Suppose you're immediately pulling back of your finger after touching a hot plate, or closing your eyes, closing of eyes, sneezing, coughing, salivation with when you are hungry, right? These all are reflex action, right? And what is a reflex arc? Okay, now reflex arc is the pathway of nerves involved in reflex action, right? The pathway of nerve that we have discussed before. Reflex arc involves receptors, right? Here also there are receptors, right? It involves receptor. It starts from here. It involves receptor. So receptor will receive, okay, the change in the environment immediate, because there is a lot of uh, the fire is over here, so definitely a lot of heat is generated here, so that is received by your receptor, right? And it will send the signal in form of a chemical or in form of a nerve impulses through the sensory neuron, right? This is a sensory neuron, okay, it is going to the spinal cord, right? Spinal cord, there is a relay neuron here which will pass this information from the sensory neuron to the motor neuron, okay, motor neuron. Sensory neuron is also known as afferent, and motor neuron is also known as efferent or effectors, right? Okay, now this motor neuron, okay, the motor neuron will send signal to the muscles of the hand that you have to take out your hand immediately, right? So these are the effectors, right? Muscles are the effectors. It will contract and you will take out your hand from here. So this is what is our reflex action, children. You can read it in detail. Right. Now the reflex action can also be shown through a flow chart. Okay, here the stimulus, we have to start from here. Stimulus, heat, it goes to receptor. Heat detectors in skin and hand, receptors, right? And from receptor through the sensory neuron will go to spinal cord. From the spinal cord, the signal will given to the motor, to the muscles of the arm through motor neurons, right? And the signal will be given, and what will happen in response of that, you are going to lift your hand or remove your hand from that place. Okay, now what is the importance of reflex action, children? Have you ever thought about what is the importance of reflex action? Why can't a brain plays a role over here? No, brain cannot play a role over here. You know why? Because from your hand, if the information goes towards the brain, this pathway is quite a long pathway. By the time your hand will really get damaged, it will really get burnt, right? So to avoid more damage or more harm, our human body is well prepared for these kind of reactions, right? So it enables an organism for immediate response to a harmful stimulus, right? Okay, it reduces the overloading of brain, isn't it? Okay, brain has a lot of work, thinking, okay, thinking, planning, memorizing, a lot of work to do. So of course, so this will reduces the overloading of brain. It increases the chances survival of an organism. That is also very much true, right? I gave you an example of car coming towards you with a great speed, or let's say a buffalo, okay, coming towards you, a bull coming towards you with great speed, right? So immediately you have to take some action, uh, otherwise we don't know the future is. One more thing here I want to tell you, that if this action is taken to the brain, so in our four brain, okay, in a forebrain, it is a front part of your brain. Over there the thinking process will takes place, but thinking process doesn't involve one neuron. Thinking process involves lot of neurons, right? And that will definitely going to take lot of time, okay, before you think, okay, you will, before you think of something to do any, to do any action, okay, you would have done more harm to your sense organs or your hand. Let's take for example in this case, right? So that is why reflex action is very important, right? So this is all about today's section. Students, please practice to this topic. Thank you.